Gentle men and kick-ass chill women. What we have in front of us today is an Sb-220 that is a prime example of clean but been in a smoking environment. We can tell because the face has got a slight little orange tinge to it, and in between the holes in the plates on the side of the cabinet got a little bit of orange tinge to it. Now this has been modified. The Zener, instead of being behind the high voltage board, is over here on the front of the cabinet, which in my opinion is a better place because it's farther from the tubes and there's less heat on the metal here. We do have an aftermarket fan, which we're going to fix here in just a minute. We've got some homemade parasitics, which aren't technically wrong. They're just the old style. And I've got this intentionally overexposed. Here, we'll bring it down to normal exposure. There we go. Got this intentionally overexposed so you guys could see the color of the aluminum, which is now bright and white again, because I went through and I cleaned all of that. Let's take a quick look at the bottom here. So it does have the upgraded relay in it, and it's also got the RF parts upgraded capacitor on it. This is not stock from here to here, but the solder joints are square. It's got brand new sockets in it, not the cheap gold plated ones that you can get off Amazon, by the way. This resistor is for the fan. We're going to take this out, we're going to take the fan out, and we're going to put a new fan in this thing that is factory so we can get it back to that standard. So we don't have to worry about grounding the grids. It's currently wired 220. There is some stuff here that I want to clean up. Yeah, there's just a couple things here I want to clean up. There's some stuff that's done with electrical tape. We're going to come back and replace this either with new wire, which I can't because this is the filament choke leads. We're definitely going to heat shrink this and fix this up, clean this up a little bit. We'll go through and we'll power it up. Let's see. It did come with a set of tubes inside of a sock. At least it's not a sticky sock or a crunchy sock. Crunchy socks are worse than the sticky socks, I think. It does say Dickies on it. It's got all the stock feet and the stock anode caps for it here in a bag. But these are real deal old school iMac'ems. Let's go in here and get them out of the tube sock. We're gonna make this thing right. Have faith. Have faith. It's me. It's me, y'all. We're gonna have fun. Look at that. Oh, wow. Wow. Vintage iMac. Wow. Let's check this one out. God, the tubes are minty mint. Like brand new. Okay, now what I learned with the last one is I gotta stick my hand down inside the tube sock boogie here. Grab a hold of the 3500Z and we're gonna pull. Okay. Oh wow. Yeah, these are brand new iMacs. You know, back in the day, these were about $25, $30 a piece, right? I don't even want to fathom a guess on what a 3500Z goes for these days. $300-$400. Wow. Well, let's put these back in their little protective bubble wrap. We're not going to put them back into the tube socks. But that's where we're at. So I'm going to go over, I'm going to go dig through my boxes over there. I've got one tote that very clearly it says labeled on it fans and fan kit. And let's see if we can put together a new fan motor and find a fan that's not completely scoded out. Let's see if we can take this back to stock and make this right. Put new parasitics in it. We'll clean up the bottom side of this a little bit more as far as the wiring goes. And I think it's going to be ready to go onto a new home once we see it run. Let's go grab that fan real quick. Okay. Well, in true tradition of practicing high voltage safety, we got our high voltage reduction probe. And the reason we got it out is so we can verify this meter. Don't ever trust one of these old meters until you can verify it with an external measuring unit to guarantee that you don't end up electrocuting yourself. Just saying. We've got it wired up for 110, currently on position. We're in a high voltage setup. What we should expect to see is somewhere about 50 to about 65 volts. The fans start turning. The meter lights should start to come on. And about the time we get to about 50, 60 volts, we should be around 1500 to 2000 volts on the high voltage side for the plate. Oh yeah, here comes high voltage. We're at 15. We're at 25. We're at 400 volts. Looking good. Variac's not fighting me at all. 45 volts. Fan's already starting to come on. The lights are starting to come on. There's 55 volts. We're over 1000 volts now. Take it halfway. Our bleeders are working the way they should. This didn't drop right to 0, so that tells me we don't have a short in any of the caps. The filter board. This thing. So let's go ahead, we'll run this back up a little bit faster. Go to about 50. We'll let it just sit here and soak for a minute. About 75 volts now going in. 90, 95, 100, 105, full tilt. There's 110 volts on the, so 3000 displayed here, 2800 there. It's not too bad at all. Fan's nice and quiet. I'm looking at it on the AC side now to see if we're going to have any increase in voltage ripple that's present, which we don't. Nice and steady here. Turn this back down. Man, this old girl wants to live again. So what if she's got a little bit of cigarette stain on her? There's going to be somebody out there that wants this amp. I just know it. I mean, we're going to let it go for a bargain price, but somebody out there is going to want this for sure. So this is almost to 0. Seeing 9 volts. 2 hash marks there. 3 volts. 2 volts. All right. Let's grab the old Chico stick. Oh, I bumped the camera. Sorry, guys. Grab the case. Ground everything. 0, 0. Hold it here for a few seconds. Pull the chicken stick out of the way. The bleeders are holding negative pressure on the electrical circuit, but it doesn't matter to me. It ain't dead. Unless it's grounded and dead. Okay. So now we got the high voltage shorted out. Get away from our meters for a second. I I think I can jump right into using this. We'll do all the little cosmetic things here in just a minute. What I want to do now is I want to try the tubes. Disconnect our chicken stick. We'll turn this off. Unplug this. This is our safety, by the way. Let's go over here. Let's grab our tubes. No rattling bits. Rattling bits is a thing. Please note, one hand inside the amplifier. The other one is down here in my pocket. It's habit. It's one of the many things I try to do to vainly attempt to keep myself alive to feed my kid and my wife, you know. All right, so these tubes are almost too good to believe they're real. Okay, so reattach our chicken stick. We'll need it in a few minutes. Pull our interlock out. Hook back up to our variac. We're still on. There's no high voltage applied to the top of the tubes. But what we are going to do is do the air bottle test. So we're going to light the tubes up and see if the filaments light. And here we go. There's 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. Tubes should be starting to light, and they are, both of them. 60, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100, 105, 110 volts. Cool. The tubes did not fill up with white acrid smoke, so therefore they have passed the vacuum bottle test. So now we got to slowly wait for this to bleed back down. Power off. Switch off. Disconnected. Now we wait. We wait some more. And we wait some more. I don't normally show this on video, but as you can tell, I'm very used to doing this, because this is how I don't die working on high voltage, is the same sequence of events. Normally what would happen on video is I shut the variac off, explain to you what I'm going to do next, and then I go ahead and I eliminate. It was very tastefully pointed out to me by a YouTube commenter that I should show these processes at least once in each video, is what I took from his comment. Usually when the comment starts out, and we get this phrase, this saying from the sci-fi world, well, with all due respect, and then it's usually followed up with whatever negative, ugly thing that they can think of saying. Nobody in the real world uses that statement, except for on television. Well, with all due respect, sir, your order that you just gave me as the general, and I'm a sergeant, is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. That's not how that works in the real world. You say that in the real world, you're going to end up in the stockade. He started out his comment to me was, well, with all due respect, the first time I watched one of your videos, I thought you were going to get somebody killed. That's because I cut out the safety steps, which is it's not dead until it's grounded and dead. Verify with a second meter. All sources of power going to the cabinet are isolated. And ground before you stick your dick beaters in there. Like I have said in many a YouTube video, do not stick your hands where you wouldn't stick your dick. It's kind of like a song I heard one time. Something's going on. Coming home at 5 in the morning. Something's going on? Let me smell your dick, kind of thing. Yeah. Do not stick your hands where you wouldn't stick your dick. It's simple. So let's install some anode caps. We'll see, make sure the tubes can stay isolated and they're not messed up. There is over $1,000 worth of tubes here. These are brand new, vintage, old school iMacs. At this point, it would look a little iffy if I said, well, let me get the tubes installed and we'll try this. Let's just do one long cut. It's okay, we got time. You got time. Everybody's got time. With all due respect, sir. General, your penis is small and your manhood is weak and you don't do your wife enough. But I said with all due respect, so therefore you can't touch me. Now, I read his entire statement, and honestly what I took away from it was that going forward in the YouTube videos, I'm going to show these exact same safety procedures at least once in every video. With all due respect. You know what I'm saying? Now, from the instant that I take this choke out, and these are actual iMac anode caps, by the way. You can tell because it says iMac and it's etched in the lid of the anode cap. Let me show that to you. Somebody out there will get a kick out of this. Isn't that cool? I've never seen that before. They both got iMac. Since here it's a little faded. It's here again. They've got iMac etched in the top of the anode. It's pretty dope. With all due respect, guys, let's zoom out. And as soon as I take my ground out of here, we go to a one-hand procedure. Hands in my pocket. And it's not because I like you. It's because I don't want to die. All right, let's move you back over here. So if there is any arcing or sparking or smoking, we can see it. There's 15, there's 20, there's 30, 45, 55. That's 2,000 volts on the top of the tubes. There's 90 volts going in, 95. 2,500 volts, 105 volts, 110 volts. It's 3,000, 2,800, 3,000 volts on anodes. Well, it didn't arc out, and we have got zero current on the plate meter. So, now what we need to do is get our foot pedal out. Right now, let me pan down, we're at less than 100 volts. Shut this off, disconnect this, flip this off. And now I can lean in here safely because there's only 9 volts, 10 volts worth of electronic schmoo contained up beside this motherfricker. Antenna relay. Throw this down on the floor. Move the Variac back over. Let's try this one more time. Amp on. Power supply on. 40, 45, 50, 65, 70, 85, 90. Ooh. 90, 95, 100, 105, 110. Okay, so now what we're going to look is at our plate amp meter. When I step on this pedal, we'll see this come up to about 2, or a little bit below. Look at our volts dip. That's perfect. Tubes didn't arc, explode, throw piss and vinegar, and let us know that they were bad. I can proceed forward. So it tells me a couple different things. It tells me that this zener here is good. It tells me we got the right voltage flop at the tubes. The tubes actually went from cutoff to actual operation voltage. So the only thing we need to do to really, in theory, get this running other than cosmetics is I'd like to change out the parasitics. Please note our plate voltage is here. We're currently unplugged, shut off, and the switch down here on the front of the amplifier is off. But we haven't neutralized anything yet. So, once again, we grab our chicken stick, which there's a whole YouTube video I did specifically around how to make yourself one of these, the math involved with how long it needs to be, the material that you want to make it out of, and the whole idea behind having the probe and the strap. Probe, zap, right on top of a capacitor, or strap, let's neutralize everything with a soft little touch. I like to grab right here on the high voltage bar. Okay, so we're neutralized. And now, my friends, we can build parasitics. All right, gents, so we're on 80 meters, as we can see. We've got a 1,000 watt element in 2X, 1,000 watt in PEP, 5 watt slug and reverse back from the bird, 10,000 watt dummy load. We're using our ICOM 7300. None of these variables are going to change unless otherwise stated. Hello, 1212. So 80 watts of drive into this old dirty girl. Hello, 13 and some change. And that's with 80 watts of drive. Hello, 1212. About 450 to 500 mils worth of draw. This thing's a little rough, dirt-wise, but this thing runs like sin. It's all because of those tubes too. All right, let's jump up here to 40 real quick. But let's remember where our settings are at. 80 is going to be right here at the top end of 80, and this is going to be right at 5. Oddly enough, for 40 meters, it wants to be pointed at 20, which means all we got to do is pull the knob off and reset it back a little bit. This is at about 2.5, 40, same amount of drive, 80 watts of drive. Hello, 11111. It's 80 watts. Hello, 1212. Same amount of power output. Hello, 1212. Actually pulling less plate. All right, let's see what happens on 20. Oh, shoot. Or get too far away. Let's go look at the front of the ICOM. Hello, 11111111. Input tune's perfect, by the way. Perfection. So, we're on 20 meters. This is at 10. That's at 5. Foot pedal. Hello, 1, 2. Same as before. Hello, 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 hello. Let's go look at the input tune on the ICOM. Come here, come here, come here. Hello, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's like insanely flat. Look at that. Swirr is 0. 0, I say. 0. All right, well, let's not utilize that much. On to 15 meters. So here we are on 40. 40's down on output a little bit. Probably has something to do with the input being a little bit messed up. I can't find what band it's actually tuned out for. This is what I'll do, is if the person that ends up buying this amplifier is really that interested in having 15 set up, I will tune it out for whatever frequency you want. But for today, this is where we're at. at about 5.5, and our needle, our arrow is right about here. Needless to say, when we get to 10 meters, it's going to be way down there. So this is what we got going on. 80 watts worth of drive. Hello, 1 2 1 2. Hello, audio, audio. About 900 watts peak, 400 on the average side of things, supposedly. All right, let's go see what happens on 10 meters. So boys and girls, here we are on the 10 meter position. Hello, 1 2 1 2 1 2. Yeah, it's pretty bad. And it shows up right here too. There we go. Hello, and I'm murdering the poor tubes. It makes me wonder if maybe, just maybe, this might be set up for the other band. But I doubt it. And since the ICOM is not Mars modded, let's turn high voltage off. Let's bleed a high voltage down. We'll hook a CB up to it and we'll see what happens here. It might be set up for the 11 meter band. We'll see. Either way, never mind. Disregard what I just said. I'm going to take the faceplate off. We'll make sure this is right. So here we are. We're back on this Sb-220 this afternoon. I got the input tunes for both the bands to lay down the way I wanted them to, even though they adjusted way different than like the last 30 of these I have done. I cannot get the output power to come up. It will not come up. It works fine on the lower bands. 15 and 10 are not wanting to stand up. They're just not wanting to stand up. So I, myself, then go, why? Oh, why? Let's look here. Look at how hot that screw has gotten. Look at that. And in turn, how hot this coil has gotten. And then I really let my little brain start to relax, and I start looking at this tuner. I'm like, but why do they have to add the extension to the tuner? Why do they have to add this extension to the tuner? This coil should be straight. And I thought, well, all I got to do is come get rid of this black extension. I'll take the coil and I come over here, and I go, well, then I'm going to be running into the plate choke, and our bypass cap, which we're going to replace here in just a few minutes, is almost touching the tubes. I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't look right to me. This is a E.F. Johnson tuner that is for an Sb-220. Yeah, that's where all of our extra distance is gone. Not only is this too high a capacitance, and what I mean that is there's too many leaves and they're too close together, it's too long. Well, I don't know about you. I have a humble, vague knowledge of how this works. Every bit of wire length that we have here and the length of the tuner makes a huge difference in how the circuit works when you start getting up into the higher portion of HF. For instance, this is our 10 meter tap. This right here. This is our 10 meter tap. This is our 15 meter tap right here. This extra length and this extra tuner length could be the reason that maybe it doesn't want to load up. I can see the tubes, they flare and they're getting warm and they're saying, hey, we're trying to do our job, but the RF can't come out. We cannot achieve a state of resonance with this extra length, because this is, might as well have another turn in the tank coil and all of its placement components. To me, this seems a little fishy. This is just the thought that came into my head last night before I decided to call it quits at 2 o'clock in the morning when working on this thing. I was like, well, wait a minute. We've replaced this tuner and none of this looks stock to me. I've seen a lot of Sb-220s in my time, right? I'm not saying I'm the end all bee's knees, end of conversation. I know more about it than you. I'm just saying I've seen a few, 1 or 2, and I've never seen one with that rod in it. And it's obvious that we have a heating issue that's taking place here. I mean, this is black, which I've never seen that coil get black. So I want to flip it over and I want to look for evidence of my hypothesis. So we have an idea of what might be happening. We need to go build more evidence for this situation. Nope, not discolored. Discolored, but then been butchered. Nope, not discolored. Nope, not discolored. Nope. Not discolored. So, with a pool data set of however many that is versus this thing, I think we have a problem. But I need more evidence. Like, let's flip this thing up on its side and see if it has a hole where the stock tuner would plug into. I think I have a stock tuner laying around here someplace. And it would be nothing to change this out. And I'm almost positive at this point this is what the problem is. So if we turn this up on its side very carefully, protect our faceplate, and then we come look, yep, okay. Now it's definitively proven. This is our stock mounting hole. Somebody has utilized the ground spot for them to, it's got the wrong tuner in it. Tank coil's the wrong length. And that would explain why the knobs on the front of the amp, when we were loading it up initially for, 80, 40, 20, why the tuner was so far out of whack. All right, well, let's see if I can find a new tuner. These Johnson air variables are a little bit hard to come across, but I think I got one or two sitting around here someplace. Let me go look. Here's the actual tuner that needs to be in there. It's a 253 picofarad, fully interlaced. On the bottom, it's like 21 or 50. Can't remember which. I think it's 21 or 23. This one here, which is the one that came out of the unit, 265. It's technically close enough. Physically, though, too big, take up too much space. I want you guys to be able to see how burned this was. Look at that. I had to dig and dig and dig and dig to find one of these. I want to say this is the last one I got, but I know it's not the last one I got. It's the last one that I know where it's at. I mean, I'm over here sweating like a hooker in church, sweating. But look at the real estate. So where it would matter, really, is on the bottom end of things, because we're going to have a lot less capacitance on the bottom. That's where they get twitchy. So let's measure that real fast. 22. Okay, sounds right. Eight. 23. Technically the right values, just too big. Off by 1 picofarad. I can't get it to do more than 800 watts on the low end of the band. Hopefully this fixes the problem. Or the high end of the band, I mean. Hopefully this fixes the problem. Okay, so this is a 1000 watt in 2X now. So radio drive it, putting 110 watts in this thing precisely, and we're getting out of it now Hello. 14 and some change. Hello, 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 hello. What's our input tune look like? Well, 1. It's perfect. Let's go over here. 1. Perfect. You're an old girl, but you've given me fits, little turd. All right, let's go retest this thing on the old 15 ammeter band. Let's disconnect the 100-watt striker, and we'll go back over to the ICOM. Let's see what we get out of it out on 15 meters. I bet we get 1,000 to 1,100 watts. So I knew this wouldn't be fair unless I did this test. So somebody out there would be calling foul. This is in the 10 meter position, 28 megahertz. Hello, 1, 2. Getting 11 or so out of it. Here's the most important thing. Our input swir is almost a 2. Hello, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's perfect now. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 hello. So, call this a win. Let's go play with 15 real quick. It's making me tired. Okay. Hello, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So 1.2, 1.3. Once again, we're in the 2x position. Hello, 11 and some change. So 15 meters is working. It makes me want to go back and check everything else. Let's just go ahead and polish the turd all the way through the band here. Here's 20. Hello, 1, 2, 1, 2. 12, 1,300 watts, give or take. Input tune. Hello, 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 hello. Perfect. All right, moseying right along. Let's go to 40. Here's 40. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Audio. Perfect. And down here. Hello. Hold on. Hello. 14 and some change. So perfect. Let's go to 80 meters. Whoop, whoop. Okay. 80 meters. Hello. Same as before. And up here. Hello. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yep. Perfection. All cleaned up. Got rid of all the electrical tape that was underneath here. And zip tied everything down, made sure everything was soldered right. It is. I'm ready to leave this side. Let's go work on the top side for a second. So this isn't a cosmetic thing, this is a safety thing. So somebody in their infinite wisdom decided to take the copper strap and break it off. So now my job is to make us a new one. And then the other thing they did in their infinite mentally handicappedism is they took the pin off the lid, which goes right here. What I did is I dug around and found another lid. The reason this is frustrating to me is because this was supposed to be quick and an easy flip, and this has ended up occupying 2 days worth of time when I really don't have the time to put in this. But through a miracle, but also a bad thing, is one of my major customers down the line, the main reason I'm doing this huge road trip, it's got nothing to do with, well, it does, it's got a lot to do with me wanting to go get oral histories and that kind of thing. But I don't get to go do that unless I've got a real reason to go, right? And the real reason I got to go is I have a customer that I'm going to do a bunch of work with, and I'm doing most of this trip associated around that work, if that makes any sense. So he got COVID and he's not doing so hot, and I'm like, well, bro, how about I just maybe take a day extra here at home instead of sitting in a hotel room, or 2 days extra? He's like, oh, that would be great. So needless to say, by chance, I ended up getting an extra day. I'll take that extra day and I'll smile and I'll go, okay, I'm grateful. I'm just grateful all the way around. Now, my mental handicapped state. Oh, it's perfect. Pin will grab the interlock perfectly. I'm going to try to do this without having to take the whole freaking amp apart. This is a must. If you, the user, you decide that you want to bypass any safety interlock on anything in here, guess what? I say, cool, man. Right on, man. You do you. And I don't really care. I'm in the position where I have to make sure that this isn't going to kill anybody, at least to the standards that the Sb-220 Heath Kit company set out. Right? So this little interlock tab here, it has to have a piece of copper so that when you put the lid down, this tab bends out of the way. Just like that. When you take the lid off, it shorts out the high voltage to guarantee that no one's going to die. There's no murdering that takes place, right? And believe me, I've already got this isolated out other ways. There's no way I can get electrocuted, so I can put my hands in here. Most of the time we rely on that tab. It's missing. Needless to say, we're coming to the end of this story, but I've got one more piece I've got to finish up. Beauty. Beauty. Well, it's done. We're here at the end of this song and dance. Remember when it came in here, it had this gross gnarly fan on it, which is filthy. Took quite a bit of cleaning to get that done. We put the upgraded horseshoe parasitics in it. We got rid of the bubblegum Sprague 45, 50-year-old blocker, which was out of tolerance. And we replaced this tuner, which physically was too big, and got it working on all the bands again. The big rubber feet and the stand-ups for this thing are in this bag, along with all the extra hardware that you're going to need to put the lid on fully. The tubes will come separately, and just because I think it's funny, for no other reason than I think they're funny, it's funny. These tubes will come in their original tube stock configuration with the iMac anode caps on it, on the iMac tubes. So at the end of the day, it's wired in 220 or 120 volts. If you want to convert it over to 220, it's no matter just changing the plug out and changing the jumper underneath. I'm not doing that. This is like a builder special, is what this thing is. It's very, very, very close to stock. Everything in here is fine, but if I was to buy this amp, I would be thinking about replacing the filter bank with the Harbach board kit, which I've shown many YouTube videos on how to do. I change out the filter capacitor on the small rectifier on the bottom from Harbach, which he sells those kits too. And if a guy wanted to, he would change over to the high volt brand new rectifier board that Harbach sells. But as far as turnkey and being relatively cheap, this is not a bad amp. It was in a smoking environment, and I need to be very clear about that. All the labels are still on the front of this amp. If I was to put anything harsher than just the very most mild window cleaner on the front of this, the paint will come off. In a cosmetic point of view, 10 being perfect, this is like an 8.5 to almost a 9. Other than a little bit of tinge to it, this amp is perfectly straight. The tin is straight, the face is straight, there's no extra holes in anything you'll ever see. It fully functions, it's got all the right parts in it. I feel very comfortable asking $1,800 plus the ride for this. I really do. I've sold them for much more. I've sold them for $2,500, $2,600, $2,800. But those were perfect, mint, beautiful examples of an Sb-220. This is a good amplifier with really good tubes in it, but it's not perfect. And when you smoke around your equipment, you guys, it's permanently fucked. I can get most of it off. Like I got it most off of the interior and the back and the cabinet and the armor, and I got 90% of it off. But that tinge on the faceplate, I mean, this thing looks straight. It's clean, but it still has that little bit dragging it down. That, and it doesn't have all the Harbach mods in it. It's got everything in it as stock. So we're selling it as it is, what it's doing, what it looks like. And I think I've been very thorough in what on the inside of this thing looks like. It is exactly what it is. A perfectly working Sb-220 that comes from a cigarette smoking environment. So I'm just saying that repeatedly and very clearly, so there's no dissolution in anybody's mind on what they're getting into. This is a good little amp. I mean, it is now. It wasn't when it came in here. It had all kinds of problems, but it's all fixed now. And that's it. If you guys are interested in getting it, give me a call, shoot me a text, send up smoke signals. Like I said, I'm getting ready to leave town, but I'm going to set this aside in such a configuration that all I got to do is make a phone call. My wife is more than capable of handling this stuff. She did all the shipping for you guys for 10 years. My first 10 years in business, she did 100% of the shipping, so that we won't have a problem. The tubes will come packaged separately. When you receive this, you're going to have to slide the armor off. Remember, it comes off that way. So take a couple towels and sit the faceplate down. Take the screws that are holding the bottom apart. Slide the armor off that way. Take the lid off, insert the tubes. Put the lid back on. Use all the supplied hardware. Put the armor back on the same way. Screw the feet in. There are 632 threads, by the way. Do not use metal screws because there are several in here. The feet already have screws in them. They're 632 thread. The tall ones go on the front, the short ones go on the back. This will come not packaged like this. It's going to come in another box with more. It's going to be much larger. So on that note, you guys want to pick yourselves up an Sb-220? Here you go. It's a good working example. The meters are clear, by the way. Normally, when this is in a smoking environment, these meters will turn an orange, and we got to soak them in hydrogen peroxide. These are perfectly crystal clear. All the chrome on the front of this thing is in really great condition. Is what it is. Gentlemen, on that note, that's the number you got to call. Shout out to Penna, XS, Siglant, McMahon, Bird, Coaxial Dynamics. Thank you, gents. I'm off to go build, I think, a 500 amp power supply. So on that note, I'll say I see you. Click, click.